Thank you everyone for being here and taking time out of your busy schedule to be here with the ISSO today. If you are in your last semester or if you are watching this webinar in preparation for next year, great. We are so happy to have you here. You are in the right place. I'm going to introduce myself if you just are joining now. My name is Alexis Akagawa, and I am a Senior International Student Advisor here at the ISSO. I'm going to introduce and have my colleague introduce himself. Sungwon?
Hello, everyone. My name is Sung Hwan, International Student Advisor at ISSO. We are really glad to welcome you. See you soon.
So Sungwon and I are going to be sharing this PowerPoint, and we're going to be answering your questions at the end. So many of you have important questions about travel, about employment dates. We are going to be covering a lot of material during this webinar, and we are going to probably cover the questions that you have. So listen, take notes, and we will take your questions at the end. So this is an OPT and PowerPoint. And what do we mean by that? This is a webinar for you to make decisions, because this may sound like you are in your last semester. Maybe you're a little bit stressed. There's lots of things going on, preparing for work or interviewing. Maybe you're doing the portfolio. Maybe you're doing a seminar and wrapping things up for all of the hard work that you've been doing these last few years. Maybe that stress is a little bit overwhelming, but you know that you want to work in the United States for a US company after graduation. Well, if you're not totally sure what OPT is and all of the details, don't worry, you are in the right place. So let's start at the beginning. What is the definition of OPT? I know that you've been in the United States a while, and of course, immigration and the US system has a lot of acronyms. So, optional practical training. Let's break it down. What does it mean? OPT allows you to remain in the United States in that F-1 student visa category after you finish your academic program, okay? And this is permission from the US government to work in your academic field of study, commensurate at your level, for 12 months, 1 year. All of these F-1 students like you need to be in the United States for 2 consecutive full-time semesters before you're eligible. Really, OPT is a simple process. It's just 2 big steps. One is applying to the ISSO for that OPT I-20, that recommendation. And the second step is applying to the government. And which Department of Homeland Security agency is responsible? USCIS, United States Citizenship and Immigration Services. They're the ones that are going to take your information, and that OPT permission, the end result of what you're trying to get and the goal, the permission is called an Employment Authorization Card, or EAD. That's the goal. Let's look at that EAD, Employment Authorization Document. So the OPT I-20 is what the ISSO can recommend. With all of your documents, this is what you're going to wait for in the mail to arrive to you. This document with your name and your information, this is what you need to onboard with your employer. It doesn't matter if it's a small startup or a large company. It doesn't matter if it is a nonprofit or for-profit company. You need this document to legally work in the United States, and you cannot work until the start date listed on that card. So we're going to take you on a journey. The first part of this journey, all right, we have USCIS. Who is this USCIS? We're going to meet John. John is a worker. He is going to be receiving so many documents from everyone in the United States, all these F-1 students that are graduating this spring. USCIS gets so much mail, 26,000 pieces of mail every day. John is a government worker. He doesn't have a connection to the ISSO or Columbia University. Let's just say that he's a little bit grumpy because he gave up caffeine this week. He has a little bit of a headache. Well, how can we make your application easy for John? We want things to go as smoothly as possible when he is looking and processing your OPT application. Here's your one application. It is one of so many. John and his team at USCIS are going to be processing and reviewing approximately 8 million applications every year. We know that your application is important. We do not want it to get lost in the sea of other documents and adjudications that the government is going to make. So, what do we need to know about John and his team's process? Well, to be fair to all students in the United States, it doesn't matter if you're an undergrad or a PhD. It doesn't matter if you're a School of Art student or a C student. To be fair, John has to go in order. His team processes OPT applications in the order in which they're received, in that chronological order. And on average, it can take his team up to 90 days to make a decision and review your OPT application. So, with that sea of applications, and if John's a little bit grumpy, what can you do? What is within your power to make your process go smoothly and for you to get approved and have as little problems as possible? Let's go through. Yes, there are things that you can't control. How long it takes for John to adjudicate for that normal processing. What is going on with the job market you can't control. And there are certain immigration rules. You chose to study in the United States. You are opting. You're choosing to work in the United States for a U.S. entity. There are immigration, labor, and tax rules that you must abide by. But what can you control? All right. 1 is applying early. 2, choosing that start date of when you want to begin OPT. Being informed and using the ISSO website. And then we are going to have that Q&A with Songwan and me at the end. That tip number 1, apply early. OPT is an insurance policy. You are believing in yourself, and the government is believing in you, assuming that you are going to find a job, that you will be employed. But what do we mean by applying early? Yes, we know that you are making this investment in your future, but how early is early? Early means 90 days before your program end date. So if you have an I-20 that is May 21st, 2025, we're going to be taking your OPT applications at the ISSO very soon. That means 90 days before that date. Now, those of you who are graduating and finishing next fall, and you're just taking this for fun because you are so prepared, that's great. Look at the I-20 date that you have, or if you're finishing early, don't worry about it. We will shorten your I-20 to that fall semester end date. But just know that the ISSO cannot recommend you too early, and USCIS, John and his team, cannot adjudicate or make a decision on your application too early. The latest date, though, that you can apply is 60 days after your program end date, up to July, but you have to be in the United States in order to apply. This 5-month range gives you a lot of choices, but there are consequences. Let's talk about your choice and consequences. The benefits of an early application are that you have time to address any problems about your application, that you are ready if you need to relocate to another state in the United States, that you have time to start your job and you have that EAD. Those of you who are moving out of the dormitories, by applying early, you may actually get your EAD card in hand before you move out. A late application, what are those negative consequences of applying too late? You may lose part of your 12 months. Remember that the United States government is risk averse. If you choose to apply in that 60 days after your program end date, you may eat away at your OPT time. The US government, no matter how late you apply, is going to have an end date of 14 months after your program end date. If there is a problem by applying to the US government and the ISSO in July, there may be a date where it's too late and we cannot help you. Sometimes in immigration, there are hard deadlines. This is one of those instances where there may be a situation where it's too late for the ISSO or the government to help fix a problem. And finally, you have less control over that OPT start date. An early application will be able to kind of set it and forget it. You'll be able, once you apply to the ISSO and to the government, it is in their hands. It is their decision and timeline. By letting go of that decision process and knowing that it is in safe hands of the government, you will be able to focus on your academics and what you need to get done this semester. You'll have less anxiety, more time to focus on your job search if you don't have a job offer already. And if USCIS is like a bell curve, a normal distribution, right? You are ahead of the curve. You are probably in a group where there are less applications received and less of a crunch for John and his team. You could also get, when you have that EAD card, you can then also return to that employer or potential employers and say, I have a legal start date. I can be 100% on board on this date. What a great gift for you to give an employer. A late application. You may miss job opportunities. If you apply too late and you can't guess what your start date is going to be, a company may be hesitant or reluctant to give you a job offer if they don't know when you can start. It's also hard to concentrate. I know I can do that. I get overwhelmed juggling so many things. We don't want you to miss out on this opportunity, and we don't want you to be compromised in the best work and have a great portfolio of your senior or your last semester's work, of your thesis, to shop around to employers. And the final thing is, do not risk having your application be your EAD card having delivered to a wrong address, or if you move out of the dormitories, having to talk with USCIS, the United States Postal Service, trying to scramble at the last minute if your card is lost or misdelivered or returned to the government. We don't want that to happen. The early application, if you are going to travel, you need to see family and friends. They're waiting at home to celebrate you. Or if you're going to be taking a vacation for family who are coming to see you at commencement, if you apply early, you don't have to worry about the application status. You will see the progress in your USCIS individual online portal. With an EAD card in your hand, you will know that you are approved And that is less stressful and is another document that is helpful for Customs and Border Patrol. And if you are going to renew your visa, it's expired, the Department of State wants to see that approval from USCIS in order to renew. It helps with all of the documents for you to prepare to travel. A late application, bribing family and friends with roses and chocolate to check your mail, kind of stressful. Returning to the United States, again, how is the Department of State going to know that you're eligible for a new visa if you don't have the EAD card? Travel with that delivery, if you're not there, can take some coordination. And maybe you're stuck outside the United States, not able to re-enter in F-1 status if your application is denied and you are outside the United States. We don't want that to happen to you. So I'm going to hand it over to Sangwon. What do you need for a job offer, Sangwon, to apply for OPT? That's a common question we get. What do you think the answer is? Do students need a job offer?
Well, I'm not sure. Do you need a job offer? Let's see. How many people? The answer is no, right? You do not need a job offer to apply for post-completion OPT. So definitely, you do not need for job offer for applying for OPT. But STEM OPT in the future, yes, it is. Next slide, please. So the moral of the story is do not delay, right? So apply as soon as you are eligible, and academic workload only gets more intense later on. So quick section recap. There are many benefits to apply early, right? Stress-free. The later you apply, the higher the risk of potential problems that the Alex is discussed. You don't need a job offer to apply. So choose the start date and stick with it because you cannot change the start date once you file your application with the USCIS. So all begins with OPT start date. Also, if you do not have a start date, then you cannot submit your OPT application. So let's start the 60 days. For the spring graduate, this program end date is May 21st. So earliest date to submit your OPT is 60 days before May 21st. Latest date to request OPT, also from 60 days from May 21st, you have another 60 days grace period that you can submit your OPT application. Now the importance of start date. So you cannot change your start date once you submit your application. So some students said they receive OPTI 20 from our office and then they're ready to file. All of a sudden they found they want to change the date. Now, if that happened, reach out to us because still there's some time to fix. However, once you submit your application to USCIS, then you cannot change the start date. We do understand it's not easy process, but ISSO is here to help. Some factors to consider. So whether you have a job offer or not, because if you have a job offer, then you may know that you already know the start date, that it will help you to select your start date. And also, do you have any travel plan before the semester and or after the semester? And also unemployment times, as mentioned, students on the OPT, they are allowed to have total of 90 days of unemployment time. So we have regarding two students, one is spring graduate and then the fall graduate. We're gonna have soon to watch the video how they selected the start date. Okay, so there's no right answer. Let's watch.
Thanks for joining us today at Ask the Alums. As an international student at Columbia, I know I'm not alone in feeling very stressed about applying for post-completion OPT, especially choosing the start date. I know I can choose a start date from any of the 60 days after my I-20 program ended, but it's so hard to know what's the right one to pick. If you have a job offer, it's easy. Your requested start date would be the day your employment begins, but for the rest of us, it's not so simple. It can take an average of 3 months for USCIS to process OPT applications, so we can't really wait until the last minute to make a decision. I've asked 2 alums who are now employed on OPT to give us some guidance. Tell us how you chose your OPT start date.
Sure, so I was a May graduate, so I had to choose a start date between the middle of May and the middle of July. I didn't have an offer at the time of applying for OPT and I was still looking for a job. I knew I didn't want to choose an early start date right after graduation because I was worried that the 90-day clock for unemployment would begin before I started work.
What do you mean by the 90-day clock?
Well, OPT regulations allow you to accrue a total of 90 days without employment throughout the entire period of your authorized OPT time. Days of unemployment start counting from the start date on your EAD card.
Exactly right. So my first thought was to choose the latest possible start date in July to be on the safe side and to maximize the time I might need to find a job.
Huh, that sounds like a good plan.
I thought so too. I thought I could change my OPT start date if I found a job that started earlier, but when I checked with the ISSO, I learned that you can't change your OPT dates while your application is being processed.
Bummer, that really locks you in.
Yeah, not only that, I had to travel abroad in late June. Now, obviously you can't start a job and then immediately ask for time off, and I didn't want my time abroad to use up part of the 90 days of unemployment. Luckily, my F-1 visa was still unexpired, so I didn't need to go to an embassy or consulate to apply for a new one while I was abroad.
So what day did you end up choosing?
I finally chose the latest start date in July because of my travel plans and to allow more time for my job hunt.
Awesome! How about you? How did you choose your start date?
Of course, a lot of same factors apply to anyone applying for OPT, but my situation was a bit different because I finished my program at the end of the fall term, not in May. The program end date for December graduates is the last day of the fall term, not the day in February when they get their degrees. So my 60-day window for choosing an OPT start date began right before the winter holidays. Completing a program in December is a bit challenging because not many employers are going to hire anyone to start during the holidays. If I chose a very early start date, I probably start using up some of the 90 days of unemployment, so I didn't want to do that. Since it can take an average of 3 months or more for USCIS to process OPT applications, and there's no way to speed up a pending application, I knew it was important to apply for OPT as early as possible.
So, how early can we apply for OPT?
Oh, I know. The earliest you can apply is 90 days before your program end date.
Exactly. So I began my application in September even though I didn't have a firm offer of employment yet.
So how did you make your choice?
I was afraid that if I chose a late start date, I might miss out on an opportunity. If an employer wanted someone to begin earlier, I decided to choose a date somewhere in the middle of the 60 days. Before you start working, weekend days count toward the 90 days limit without employment. So I chose a Monday as my OPT start date, and I recommend you do the same. I'm happy to report it all worked out.
Fantastic! Thank you both for sharing your experience. To summarize for our viewers, when you're choosing a post-completion OPT start date, you need to consider these factors. The time you need to find a job and the time it takes to get the EAD card in the mail. That you can't change your OPT dates, nor can you expedite the processing time. The 90-day limit for unemployment, and any international travel plans. And remember, Visit issa.columbia.edu for detailed information on the OPT application process. Thanks again, everyone.
Great, thanks so much. I hope you enjoyed it. So quickly, the section recap. The start date is where you begin, and also consider all factors when deciding your start date for OPT, because you cannot change your start date. Use our ISSO website, because there are a lot of resources there. Just in case, one thing, if you do not know, on the right-hand side on the corner, there is a search box. So whenever you have any question, type the word, and then you will find the proper link. It's easy process. So let's meet Lisa. Imagine in your history class, she's an F-1 student from Canada. She told you that, I don't need a valid F-1 visa when I travel during OPT, as long as you have your EAD card. Do you think that will be the proper answer for everyone? Should you trust her? Should you trust your friend? So let's see. The answer is no. So Canada, from people from Canada, there's some agreement with the US. They are now required to have a valid F-1 visa stamp from the US Embassy, but all other nationalities, they must have valid F-1 visa stamp to travel. So definitely our website, refer to that. That you usually experience the designers and content strategists that spent a lot of time and resources to create that. Everything you need is there. So let's go on a tour at our website. We'll give you some topics include OPT eligibility, type of OPT employment allowed, and other helpful information.
Hello, and welcome to the ISSO website. The purpose of this short video is to go on a brief tour of the website specific to post-completion OPT. We'd like to show you how easy it is to use and highlight some important topics. To begin, we will scroll over the header Employment, and under For Students, we will click on F-1 OPT after your program. As with all our web pages, you will see details relevant to each page and topic. As we continue to scroll down, we'll see quick links indicating what is covered on the page, such as eligibility, important information to know before you apply, and an application process overview. As long as you carefully follow our ISSO instructions, there should be no issues with your OPT application. Here, you can see our OPT calculator, which you can use to figure out the range of dates you can choose from for your start and end date of OPT. We would now like to highlight another important topic, travel during OPT. Information on this topic can be found by hovering over our Visas and Travel tab. Under For Students, we'll select Travel during F-1 OPT. It is important to know if you are traveling and plan to return before the program end date on your I-20, since your re-entry will be based on your return as a continuing student. In this scenario, your OPT application has no impact on travel regardless of whether it's pending or approved, since you're currently enrolled and will return to the US before the end of the semester. With the pending OPT application after your I-20 program end date is passed, we recommend that you remain in the US until your OPT application is approved. This is because if you're abroad and your OPT application is rejected or denied, you will no longer be eligible to enter F-1 status to apply again for post-completion OPT. That being said, there are certain circumstances where an F-1 student may want or need to travel with the pending OPT application after their I-20 program ended. If this is your situation, please see the documents here. These are the documents that we recommend you have with you when you request entry back into the US. We also recommend flying to JFK or Newark, as we have interacted with those CBP, Customs and Border Protection officers. Finally, with an approved OPT application and your EAD in hand, traveling as an F-1 student is far less complicated. Below, you will be able to see the documents that you require as you are still in F-1 status while in OPT after graduation. Thank you!
Thank you. So this is a way to contact us to ISS. So there are many ways. You can schedule appointment either by Zoom or in person. You can email us. You can also call to the phone number. And also when there is emergency, there's a phone number, public safety, and office closing hours. So definitely utilize this to connect us. Thank you. So quickly section recap here. Definitely a lot of friends, some friends said this, some friends said this. So please be, do not rely on them much about it. Whenever you have a question, definitely reach out to ISSO. And also there is our website, it's 24 hours, so you can get the information, whatever you need. So important reminders for OPT and Spring 2025 reminders. I want to go each line by line because it's very important. When you apply for OPT, there's a OPT Canvas course that are only required for all the students. When you go to OPT website, definitely you can take the course. At the end of the course, remember to save the certificate of completion because you have to upload that when you submit OPT I-20 application in campus. And also, once you get OPT I-20, verify whether all the information is correct. Your name, OPT I-20 recommendation on the second page, with all those information correct, that's critically important before you file your application to USCIS. And also, finally, there is a USCIS online application. USCIS made it easier. So once you get OPT I-20, you can create USCIS online account. You can submit your application to USCIS website. You pay, and then you will get the receipt number right there. So that's a very easy process. And also there's a premium processing. Some people ask, but I do not recommend. When there's a strong need, urgent need to get a faster approval for the OPT application, if students were willing to pay additional $16.85 to USCIS, USCIS will adjudicate your case within 30 business days. Next, please. Another important factor, when you file the OPT application, you must be physically in the US. Let's say you travel to another country and then you want to file OPT, then the application will be denied. It's critically important. When you file OPT, you must be physically in the US. Reporting a 90 days unemployment OPT. So whenever, let's say you got the OPT approval while you're working, and then let's say you want to change your employment, you resign, you get a new job, definitely SABP require all the students to submit a report within 10 days after any change. So if that happened, log into after we have OPT reporting page, definitely submit your request. 90 days unemployment, that's another reminder though. Some students, let's say you work for the company A, and then you resign the job, and you have a 1 month kind of unemployment. You find the second job, and there is another month. So you have a 1 month here, 1 month there. So total accumulated unemployment, as long as that does not go beyond the 90 days, you're fine with that. And also on-campus employment OPT, let's say some students are working in the final term for Columbia University. And once May 21st, final program end date, they should stop at the on-campus employment. But they can regain, they do that again. Let's say if they get the OPT approval, then they may be, another opportunity to continue working on the OPT. So back to John, yeah, don't get lost, right? There are too many applications at USCIS. Remember, your application one of many. So we understand how important it is your work authorization menu to you. Let's go for the next screen. So this is only beginning, right? So once you get the EAD, continue to use our website, stay informed, and report any OPT employment update. Now here, one more thing. So once you don't get OPT approval, whenever they want to report, they typically ask, oh, I received the email from SCBP for reporting. Where should I do so? Should I report to SCBP website, or should I report to ISSO in Compass? Definitely, ISSO website, there is an OPT reporting page. You must submit the any change of reporting in our website. Once students submit that, we will update the updated information in your CBS record. So you do only for SCBP, the website is for verification only. So any employment change update, please submit to ISSO OPT reporting page. So here's what you can control, right? Apply early, choose your start date, and also use our website. So hopefully it gave you some more resources, power to make it easier for your process. Thank you. So here are our contact information, our email address, CYMC email, our website, Instagram, and presentation overview. If you want to share website, we have also, we will share the OPT webinar in our website. In case if you miss some portion, or if your friend wants to watch it, definitely go to our website, because there will be a recording available in our website within 1 week or 2 weeks. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everyone.